Hello, Scott here, and this is Mastering of the Mind, Body, and Soul. For your return viewers, thank you for coming back and watching another video. And for all you first-time viewers, welcome. Hopefully you're going to see or hear something that resonates with you. And if it does, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Uh, Today, we're going to wrap up rational emotive therapy. I have one more example that I'm going to go over with you. And then in the upcoming weeks, we're going to be changing our focus and moving more into the body part of the program. I think we have some very interesting content coming up in the next few weeks. But before we begin R.E.T, once again, I'd like to go with 5 rational questions and importance questions with you because I want to remind you of what each and every one of those are. Since I don't have enough room on my whiteboard to do that, I want you to be familiar with them. The first one is my thinking or behavior based on facts? 2, does my thinking or behavior help me protect my life, health, or freedom? 3, does my thinking or behavior help me achieve my goals now and in the future? 4, does my thinking or behavior help me to avoid unwanted conflicts with others? 5, does my thinking or behavior help me feel the way I want to now and in the future? And the importance question, will this situation be important to me tomorrow, next week, next year, 5 years from now? Okay, let's go ahead and get into today's example. The event is my vehicle was repoed because I was not making my payments. This happens uh, quite a bit, and I thought this would be a good example to R.E.T. So the self-talk with this is unfair. I was set up for failure. They get off on doing this to people. Why me? I should give them a piece of my mind. As we know from our previous videos, that self-talk creates feelings and emotions. Thinking creates feelings. So when we're thinking this way, that means we're basing everything from a feeling or emotion, which comes from our child part of the personality. And those feelings that are created are anger, frustration, and embarrassment. These are normally the type of feelings and emotions that you would be feeling if you had your vehicle uh, repossessed. But to become more rational and more logical, we're going to have to challenge that. And we're going to do that through the 5 rational questions and the importance questions. And then we'll eventually come into our new feelings, which will take us from the child part of that personality back up to the adult. So let's begin with the first rational question. Is my thinking or behavior based on fact? Well, this is unfair. A fact or opinion. That's an opinion. Uh, when you sign the contract, you were obligated to make payments on a certain time of the month. So going into this contract, it was spelled out in the contract when you were supposed to make your payment. So is that based on fact or opinion? That's an opinion. Okay. I was set up for failure. Is that a fact or opinion? Once again, that is an opinion because you knew going in what your responsibilities were going to be when paying for this vehicle. And the next one is they get off on doing this to people. No, this is their job. This is what they do. And they don't have any ill will or bad feelings towards you. This is just an agreement between you and the lending agency. And then why me? Well, why not you? I mean, are you exempt from that? Because you're like everyone else. You're held to a certain degree of responsibility as well. So that is an opinion as well. And then I should give them a piece of my mind. All right, what is that going to do for you? They've already repoed your vehicle, and by calling them up, using harsh words or saying something hurtful, what is that really going to change? Nothing. So once again, is that giving them a piece of my mind factor opinion? Well, that is an opinion. So with that, you're feeling angry, frustrated, and embarrassed because of that self-talk. So we know that is my thinking or behavior based on fact is a no. So now we've got to ask ourselves, does my thinking or behavior help me to protect my life, health, freedom? Does that self-talk help you protect your life, health, freedom? Absolutely not. Especially if you're getting into some type of verbal or physical altercation with the repo man, or if you go down to the lending agency and get into a verbal or physical altercation with him because you're angry and frustrated, yeah, that's not going to help you as well. So that is a no. And then our third rational question is, does my thinking or behavior help me achieve my goals now and in the future? Well, as we've talked about in our previous videos, no one wants to feel angry, frustrated, or embarrassed. And that self-talk is going to do that. So that is a no as well. And then number 4, does my thinking or behavior help me to avoid unwanted conflicts with others? Well, that self-talk there definitely isn't going to help you to avoid conflicts with others. So that's a no as well. And then finally, is my thinking behavior help me feel the way I want to now and in the future? Now, common sense says if you're talking this way and you're feeling this way, then that's not the way that you want to feel. So that is a no as well. And when you look at the 5 rational questions, you see that we have no's all the way across. So that is a good indicator that that self-talk has put you in a situation where you'll say or do something which may not be helpful to you now or in the future. So those are your red flags. And previously I've stated that if you're going to remember any of these 5 rational questions, the one that sticks out in my mind, does my thinking or behavior help me avoid unwanted conflicts? So if none of the others pop into my mind, I always have that one there. But something else that you could use as well is, does my thinking or behavior help me uh, to protect my life, health, or freedom? And that self-talk doesn't do that. So we know by challenging that self-talk that that self-talk is irrational. And that means we're in our child, and then we got to do something to get back up into our adult. Once we realize that, we got to start to come up with some new feelings. And some of these things that you might want to say to yourself is, I should have been more responsible. Absolutely. You knew what the contract said, you knew what you were supposed to do, and you didn't follow through. They're only doing their job. Yes, they're not out uh, personally to harm you in any way, shape, or form. This is what they do from 8 to 5. I learned a hard lesson. Absolutely. Get your vehicle repoed. Now it's going to change your lifestyle, and you're going to have to find other ways or means of travel to get around. And that goes to the next one. I will find other ways to get around for now. And then finally, uh, not the end of the world. While it may be a difficult situation, may be very problematic for you, you know, you can overcome this and life goes on. So by switching the new feelings for the self-talk here, hopefully we can come into a better frame of mind, have a little bit more understanding, and get through the situation without any further problems. Like, will this situation be important to me tomorrow, next week, next year, 5 years from now? Well, situation is already done and over with. They've repossessed your vehicle, so No, that's not going to be important to you tomorrow, but you are going to have to find other means or modes of transportation. If you're able to come up with the back money that's owed to the lending agency, then you pay them, they release your vehicle, and life goes on. So, no, once again. Now, before I end today's video, I normally have an acronym for you, but today is just a little bit different. For you that are computer aficionados, you've heard of Control, Alt, and Delete. Well, in this instance, control means control yourself. Okay? Controlling yourself, there's only two choices: your self control or other control. And if you can't control yourself, then someone's going to step up and enforce that control. And then alter your thinking. Simply put, if you remain in a negative mindset, you reap what you sow. So if nothing changes, nothing changes. So you've got to alter that thinking. And then delete negativity from your life. I mentioned it briefly last week. You can't fly like an eagle when you're hanging out with a bunch of turkeys. So if you're hanging out with negative people with negative mindset who have no intention or desire to be any better than what they are, then your incentive and your motivation for change will be less. And it's easier to separate yourself from those type of people, because if you think you're going to change them, then you're going to be sadly mistaken, because they have no desire for that. So you got to change playmates and playpens. Last week I also read off how to deal and manage with stress. And I want to go over 10 more of those. And you want to do something that will bring you some peace or relaxation. And one of the ways they suggest is to go bird watching, get out into nature, take a walk. Practice listening while other people do the talking. Most people want to talk and they don't want to listen. Sometimes it's good to hear what someone else has to say. Do only one thing at a time. I know in this fast paced world, we like to do a lot of multitasking. And then drop annoying, time consuming acquaintances. We talked about that with Control, Alt, Delete. You got to avoid hanging out with negative people, negative places, doing negative things. And go camping. Once again, get out into wilderness. I know I enjoy being out in the woods. It brings some peace, some solitude. And then when you feel happy, freely express your feelings of joy. Don't keep everything inside. Then people know you're happy. And 18, have a good cry once in a while. Uh, from the generation that I came from, to cry was to show weakness. And that's kind of changed over time, and it's not so looked down upon to be able to cry. It just shows that you're human. And then 19, stop trying to remember everything. Write things down. As I get older, I don't remember things quite as well as I used to. And to have things written down, it keeps me on track and keeps me focused. And when traveling, allow more time to catch the airplane, train, or bus. Don't get there at the last minute. If you do, you're not going to be able to board. And then you're going to have to wait around for the next flight if they have an opening on that flight to get you to your final destination. So with that, I would like to say to you, teamwork makes the dream work. I want you to believe in yourself. Remember that I always will believe in you. I want you to believe in yourself. Do an act of kindness today. Yeah, that's very important. And also, when doing an act of kindness, do it without expecting anything in return. Do it for just doing a good deed. And with that, I would like to say to you, uh, till we meet again, may God bless you and much love and light.